Welcome to CGN Games. If you remember I think it was episode 12 of the Late Night Gaming Show when Mike joined us, we had a conversation about Detroit Become Human and this sort of controversial route that they took where they had some actual abuse in the game, trying to bring about a point. But we're going to watch the trailer that had it in it, and we're going to kind of discuss what our thoughts are on it. You can go and watch our mine and Mike's thoughts on the whole idea of the game and everything if you go back to, I think it's episode 12, or the last time Mike was on.
Yeah, I think it was.
But this is going to be, I've already seen this trailer, you've not seen it. Have you seen anything on this game at all? No. So the premise of the game is that you're going to make choices all throughout the game, and it completely changes the story based on your choices, and this is going to kind of show you that. So we're going to watch this, we're going to kind of have a reaction, you're going to see it for the first time, and then we're going to kind of just discuss like if we think it's okay, if we think it should be allowed, things like that. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So here we go. So we're going to go for it in 3, 2, 1, click. Turn it up a bit.
Oh, nice graphics.
They've probably been working on this game for about 6 years.
Been gone for 2 weeks, so the place
Yeah,
is a
looks like
mess.
it as well.
You do the housework, the washing, you cook the meals. That's Alice. You look after her. Homework, bath, all that crap. Got it?
Right away, Todd.
So she's like an android.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to school today? I'm sure we used to be friends before I was reset. Maybe we can be friends again.
You shouldn't mess around with my stuff. It makes me nervous.
I'm sorry, Todd.
What are you looking at? Maybe you think this is easy. Maybe you think it's my fault your fucking mother took off. Fucking whore walked out on me for a fucking account. Come back here. You stay there. Don't you dare fucking move. Alice! Daddy's very mad. It's all over now. Daddy isn't angry anymore. You know Daddy loves you. This is all your fault!
He's coming! He's gonna hurt me! Run! Get away! Or he's gonna break you like last time!
You're coming with me. That's enough! I want you to leave Alice alone.
She's mine. I do what I want with her!
Kara!
Come back here!
Watch out, Kara!
There you go. It's difficult to comment on it through the video, isn't it?
Man, that is that's a really tough story.
It is, isn't it?
Wow.
So that's one, obviously, of many. It's not all centered around that one thing, I don't think. But it kind of shows you the breadth of different choices that you can make and the outcomes of that. You saw, like, zoomed out, there's, like, so many different outcomes. So your first initial, like, let's first just talk about, like, what's your first impression of just the game in general? Just how it is, how it works.
I mean,
what do you think?
It looks good. It looks really good. It reminds me of a show that they had on Channel 4 called iRobot. I think it's
Oh,
I,
yeah,
Robot. Or Identity, something like that.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
right.
reminds me of that, but that is like a proper emotional, like,
Yeah.
full. I could, one minute I was just like, oh my goodness, like, I could feel myself welling up slightly
Yeah.
because of this kid.
The first time I watched it, I think I did cry. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like really trying to hold it back.
Yeah.
It's right, yeah, very emotional.
Yeah, oh man. It's just, but graphic wise and like the storyline behind it, it looks good. It looks really interesting to do, to be able to play. But yeah, I mean, are you the robot in it or what?
Yeah, well, from they had a gameplay sort of trailer at E3 last year as well, and that showed a different character in a different situation. It was actually one of the other androids had actually took a kid hostage on top of a building, and you were like a android policeman coming in trying to save the kid, basically. So that showed again a different way, but so this is from the same developer who made Heavy Rain. They made Beyond Two Souls, and that's the only two recent ones. But they're always really emotional games, really powerful, story-driven games. And I like Quantic Dream, who make the game. Like, they're just absolutely amazing studio. It's very, very cinematic. It's more like watching a movie than anything. But they take a really long time on every game. Like, they showed this game off first, like 2 or 3 years ago now. But so to me, I was looking forward to it anyway. But the sort of reason for this conversation now is, what do you think about? We just talked about in our we're going to have the newest late night gaming show up on Monday, and we talked a little bit about like what's okay and not okay, and like child abuse and stuff, and sexual abuse and things like that in games. So this was a game that came up as well in that conversation as well, which is why we're doing this video. But watching that, like, there's a very big split down the middle of people who think it's the worst thing in the world to put this in a game, and people who think it's amazing that they're doing it. Which side do you fall on, or are you like, there isn't? I mean, is there a middle ground? I don't know. Or where do you sort of sit with it?
Like, I mean, it's a good storyline. Like, just from that video, it's a good storyline, and it's like, I'm really caught into it. And I'm like, I want to go and play this game.
Yeah.
Like, just to see what happens with the kid and the android. But I mean, there's no like real bad violence in it or really like extreme stuff, then I think it's okay. I mean, if you're alright emotionally to go and play that game, I think you'd cry through the game.
And that's a very important point as well, because I showed this trailer to my wife as well, and she actually used to be a social worker, and she was just like, I don't want to watch that, like, because it brings up a lot of stuff for her that she's had to deal with in her role.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does depend on your role. I mean, like, if I was younger, and I wasn't as close to God as I am now, I probably wouldn't have played that game. But because of where I'm at,
Or it wouldn't have been a good idea to.
No, it wouldn't have been a good idea to. But where I'm at now, I'd go and actually play it and be like, and I'd probably cry as I played it, knowing me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think that, like, just from the trailer, it doesn't look like they're hitting major boundaries like the other game we were talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is without the android, this is like literally like some people's life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's what makes it difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, we live in a very sensitive age right now, don't we? Where people are very sensitive about a lot of subjects. And when me and Mike were talking about this game, we were kind of talking about how, like, for some reason it's not obviously the situation isn't okay, but what I mean is, like, this sort of thing is talked about in movies, it's talked about in art, it's talked about in books, but for some reason when it's a game, that seems to cross a line for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think a big portion of it is what do you view games as? You know what I mean? And to me, I think games can sometimes be the most powerful way to bring about, bring up certain topics and bring about, you know, conversations. And to me, it's done in a really, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but like tasteful way. It's not like you saw the dad actually physically hitting the kid and things like that. It did it in a very respectful way, I would say. Yeah. And I think that's that's a really important thing as well. So to me, I'm on the side of like everything you said. I absolutely agree with. I think I'm definitely on the side of, I think I respect them a lot for doing it. I think it's going to depend on how they handle the rest of it. But I think, yeah, it's very much on, I don't think this is a game that's just like you recommend to everybody. I think it's probably going to, I'm assuming it's going to carry a high age rating. But this is one of those points where it's like, it's carrying a high age rating because I think you have to be not physically, you have to be like mentally and emotionally developed to handle that sort of thing. And it's not like shove a kid in there and let him have a go, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's not like I'm like, oh, adults just shouldn't go near it. I think some people, like, they have no idea this kind of thing goes on. They don't even think about it. They kind of live in the ivory towers and think everything's okay. And actually, it's a good way of being like, this is actually a situation that happens. And I was talking about on the show as well, the show that's going out on Monday, about Beyond Two Souls, and it had a whole section on homelessness, and it was like a homeless community, and there was a woman in it who was actually giving birth on the streets, and it was like they had these really difficult questions like, we need these medical supplies, do we break into a supermarket to do it? And it's like all these things, and you just when you have a house and you have a family and you know everything's relatively okay, you don't think about actually what does it mean for a homeless person to be pregnant, you know what I mean? And I think that actually to me opened my eyes up a lot to that sort of community. So I think it's one of them, isn't it? I think you need to be at the age range, you need to be mentally and emotionally prepared, but I think it's something that I think it's something that needs to be discussed, isn't it? We can't just pretend like it doesn't happen. And I think, like we said before, I think understanding what video games actually are and seeing them as art, as literature, as things like that, I think when you look at games like that, and I think if you're just writing this game off and being like, oh no, games can't be like that, I don't think you've played certain games that actually like are very artistic, very done to a very high standard, things like that. And actually, like, video games can be extremely emotional, and like you can invest a lot into it. So I'm on that side really of like, I think it's okay with context really. So yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's much more to say apart from that really, because like even now I'm still sat and I'm a bit stunned by it. I'm just like, but I mean, it is something to look at because there are a lot of people out there that wouldn't have seen this side of life, as you said. I mean, like, there's different situations, like, from my past, like, it shocks me this, because I've never seen this side, but if you were talking about the Two Souls game, like, literally, I'd probably be like, it probably wouldn't affect me, because I'm used to seeing that stuff anyway, in my past and stuff. So, I think it is one of them. I mean, like, I'm not saying if you're used to this sort of stuff, go and play it. I'm not saying that. And what I'm saying is, like, it won't affect you in the same way it would affect someone that's not been through it. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. But I think like people who are like going on the hate train and being like, this is disgraceful and all this, I think it's, to me, a big part of it has to be that they just haven't experienced video games like this before, so they don't understand. They think it's going to be like Call of Duty, just running in like and you know what I mean, it's all just entertainment. We talk a lot about that as well, isn't it? Where it's like, what's the purpose of it? And if it is just entertainment, then that's not great. But I don't think that's
like purpose. A storyline in it. That's more of a storyline, and it's focused on the storyline, and that's what I like, because if you look at Call of Duty, it has a storyline, but it's all about the entertainment, keeping you always going and thinking about stuff. But this is like when you play like the Walking Dead or the Last of Us and stuff like that. Like you get drawn in by the story.
You're talking about Walking Dead the game.
The Walking Dead the game. And even Life Before the Storm, like, it's all story based, and that's what I love in video games, is the story based. And I probably could fall in love with this game because of that story. But to
me, that again, that's like, it's the same as like, there's movies that are really powerful. I think one that I'm just thinking of that springs to mind right now is like Saving Private Ryan. Like, that deals with a very difficult, I mean, the war, you know what I mean? And it is a very emotional story, but it has a sort of message behind it, and and it has a purpose. It's not just let's blow stuff up for excitement's sake. Like, everything that happens in that movie is for a purpose to try and tell you something. And to me, that's what this game is. And I think the director, the head of it, actually used to be a movie producer, from what I remember. But I'm not 100% on that. But yeah, so I think that's the point. I think they're using it for a purpose. It's not just, isn't it great? Look at this guy going and killing a girl. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that. It's really not like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, if it was like that, that's when it's unacceptable, isn't it? So, I mean, it's very brave of them to tackle a situation like that.
And it takes a lot of guts to do this sort of storyline. I think
it takes even more to actually put that out as a trailer as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, wow, to put that in a trailer is like
it's just amazing. It is amazing.
So I think we kind of both agree, don't we, that it's kind of okay depending on how it's handled later on. So yeah, that's been our sort of reaction / discussion on the Detroit Become Human controversial trailer. Join in the discussion. Tell us what you think. Like, how did you feel about the trailer? How do you feel about the game? Do you think that this sort of thing is okay to put into games? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell button if you want to see more from us. And make sure you hit a like up on the video if you liked us. If you didn't like us and you hate us because we agreed with the video, you can dislike too.
So comments to why you dislike us.
Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Enjoy is a strong word, but I hope you've engaged in the conversation. Yeah. That's probably a better term. And we will see you really soon. Make sure as well that our late night gaming show is going up soon, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as well. So we will see you very soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.